Well, I've really enjoyed the series very much, and I think you've escaped that really contrived feeling that many series set in a small place can get. But I suspect that the interplay between the two books will help you, you know, kind of stay sane.
I think it keeps me fresh because I'm just starting the next Evan book,
Right.
which incidentally has taken him completely out of his environment. You're talking about too many murders in one place. He's down in Swansea, which is a big city in the south of Wales. He has taken Bronwyn down. Well, it's even more than that. It starts off with the whole problem of the foot and mouth disease, because I had to include that. That was just such a big, a big event in Wales last year.
Because of the heavy sheep.
Yeah, I mean, that it devastated so many lives that I thought I really have to bring this into a book. So it starts off with foot and mouth disease coming to their corner of Wales, and Evan being absolutely horrified that he is supposed to be enforcer. He's supposed to...
And slaughtering sheep.
Yeah,
right.
He's supposed to stand there and make sure the farmers don't rush insanely at the army when the army is slaughtering their sheep. And you know, these farmers are his friends. These are people that he knows what their life is like, and the fact that it's taken them generations of breeding to breed the champion ram.
Sure.
And it's going to be slaughtered now, so he just can't handle that. So luckily he manages to inveigle his way out with some leave that he isn't supposed to take, but because people, his superiors, like him, they actually pull a string to get him out. So he chooses this time to take Bronwyn down to meet his mother and to meet her parents down in South Wales. So he gets back to Swansea and he's staying with his mother, and while he is there, there is a visit from the local police who come to see his mother, not knowing he's there, and says that the young man who killed his father has been released a year before from jail because he was in a juvenile detention facility and was released, and is now up again before the magistrate, charged with the rape and murder of a young girl.
Aha.
So Evan's mother wants to go to, they want Evan's mother to come to court and be prepared to talk in case they want to grant bail, because they want to say that when he was out on bail last time, he shot Evan's father. So they want to make sure that no bail is granted this time.
So you have a chance here to do that wonderful thing, which is to have the sleuth investigate his own past.
Yes.
Always a successful story.
And, well, and also this huge moral dilemma. At the beginning of the book, Evan is the one who's supposed to be the enforcer, who's supposed to say to these farmers, you know, I'm sorry, but your sheep are going to be slaughtered. And he does say to one of the farmers, you know, sometimes we have to do things we don't like for the good of the whole, don't we? And the farmer says, you know, you sanctimonious little prick, what do you know, the farmer. So suddenly this comes back to haunt Evan, because he goes to court and he sees the young man in court, and the young man is absolutely distraught and says, you've got this all wrong, I didn't do it. And what's more, Evan is convinced he didn't do it.
Well, this is going to be certainly a maturing experience, isn't it?
So he has to decide after that, you know, do I investigate this? Because there's nothing he'd like more than to have this person shut away for the rest of his life.
Sure.
He feels it was quite unjust that he got 4 years in a juvenile detention facility. So now he has the chance that the police is very anxious to get him, you know, because they all felt badly that he was let off so lightly before. So Evan can just sit back and have this young man sent away for life.
And then you have, of course, to make a choice, which obviously you aren't going to reveal to us, as to whether the young man was really guilty and is doing a heck of a snow job, or whether, in fact, the young man, you know, is there some set of... It's almost like a locked room mystery, isn't it? Can you have somebody who has been convicted of a crime, credibly convicted of a crime, and then can you come up with a scenario whereby that isn't the case without making everybody look like absolute morons in the process?
And, you know, another twist in this is that the young man is absolutely obnoxious. He's the sort of person you want to put in prison for the rest of his life. You know, he's got the biggest chip on his shoulder. He's always been on the wrong side of the law. He's never learned how to be a valuable human being. So, you know, why shouldn't he be shut away? So Evan is going through all these moral dilemmas the whole time.
Sure. It's almost like the Darwin Award, isn't it? You'd like to get rid of him. Well, the one thing I haven't asked you about, as we're wandering out towards our conclusion here, is short stories.
Well, I never thought of myself as... when I was a young person right out of college, I wrote some what I thought were scathingly brilliant literary short stories, you know, where you hadn't got a clue what had happened by the end of the story. And I was asked to write a short story last year for an anthology that I thought was a good idea. Sarita Stevens was doing an anthology called Unholy Orders, and all the proceeds were going to Romanian orphans.
Right.
So I thought I'd like to do something for this. So I wrote a short story for it, and it ended up being nominated for 2 awards last year.
It did,
yes,
right.
for the Agatha and the Anthony. And so that was kind of fun. And so since then, a couple of other people have asked me to do short stories, and they're really fun. I don't have time to do many of them because doing two books a year is insane
Sure.
anyway. But
you can at least use
yeah.
a much smaller idea and not invest
Yeah.
so much time.
I've done a really fun one you're going to like that's coming out in next year's MWA anthology, which is about a World War II, well, Nazi Germany story, and about someone who decides to trade places with, it's a really complicated story, but it's a very chilling one. You know, I write these books which are more cozy than not, so this is a chance to write something that's really on the horrendous end of things, you know.
How wonderful.
Yes.
One of my all-time favorite books about World War II is an old book by Manning Coles called A Toast to Tomorrow, which presupposes that the chief of the German police is actually a British agent who's been suffering amnesia since a wound at the end of World War II. It sounds ridiculous, but actually it's a truly fabulous book.
Yeah.
So I can see. Do you know, Anne Perry, too, wrote a short story about World War I, which she is now spinning off into a brand new series, having, she says, done all she can with the Victorians for time to come.
It's interesting because I met her last year at Left Coast Crime, and she said, you know, I'm trying, there's lots of things, she said, I'd like to write about the French Revolution and they won't let me. And she said, you know, I want to move on to something else, and they keep saying, no, you've got to write this forever and ever and ever. And that is a problem with success, isn't it? That the fans expect you to have a new book out every year for the rest of your life.
Well, I think, you know, sometimes you just have to take hold and try new things. And in this short story format at which you have been so successful, you may find seeds for yet something else. Because obviously you're a person who wants to keep writing.
Yes.
And it just may be that at some point you've said all you can possibly say about Evan without just being ridiculous.
If I get to the stage where I think, oh God, I've got to do another Evan book, that's when I stop, because I don't ever want to do, you know, I'm a writer and I've written quite a lot of books, and it's quite easy to crank out a book that will be perfectly acceptable to everybody else.
And have no heart.
And but you know, you've got to really enjoy it and really care about it and really look forward to doing the next one, I think. And the moment that doesn't happen, I will stop doing that.
Excellent. Well, I hope it won't be for some time to come.
I hope so too.
Rhys, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Barbara.
Always a pleasure to explore all these things. I think it's important too that when we talk about a cozy series, people sometimes dismiss them as lightweight reading, but in fact you've got the same serious themes and whatever running through these as do writers of darker big books. Yeah, and that's another whole debate on you know, the cozy versus noir and how we handle the same things and which is more valid, you know. And, or which readers read. Yes. Well, you've given us some very good answers. Good. Thank you. All right, thank you very much. And I certainly thank all of you for joining us on this episode of the Criminal Calendar.